help to tell the best story for Africa so that everyone who is building an app and comes to talk to an investor here, the investor has heard about a different story from Africa and is open to listening to them. So for Silicon Exchange, what we're doing, and now we're working with like government in Kenya, innovation agencies in Kenya and also here to start crafting a different African story and basically be like a PR machine. When I came to the US, I remember the first time I went to Santa Monica, and I got there to the pier and I was like, there's no way this is what I've been seeing in the movies. Like, this thing is a joke. Like, absolutely no way this is what they sold to me.
The water is not
All
that
my
blue.
life. Water was not blue. There was no beach. It was brown. It was small. It was so full. It was so dirty. I was like, how is this real? But they've done such a good job with like their marketing and the positioning in all our minds that all of us are just excited about this thing. And I think we owe it to ourselves as African to like tell our own stories. And we believe that as Silicon Exchange, because we're a neutral party in a lot of different ways, we should be able to help tell that story. So we're partnering with people who can fund storytelling, can help us pull like the right founders, etc. And we're championing these founders across different ecosystems. So like what we did from the Silicon Exchange in December, we identified a couple of founders that we thought were building exciting solutions. And then what we're doing is we're showcasing them in different markets. So in February, we had an event in Paris, a side event. We held a side event alongside the Paris AI Action Summit. It was called the Africa AI Village. And we brought in African founders and they were able to be showcased in front of like the across the global AI leaders. And then we took some of them to Doha in partnership with Tech Connect Africa, which is one of our leaders, and they were able to get free tickets. They were able to get like space at the conference to showcase to like Middle Eastern investors. And then now at Africa, at the AI summit that just happened in Rwanda, we did the same thing with some of the founders, and we want to continue to do this. That if you speak to an investor in Dubai, London, we're working with like the UK Tech Hub, we're working with the French Tech Hub. No matter which investor you speak to, they've seen an African, they've seen an African founder, they've seen good innovation, and they can speak to it. After a while, if we do this for the next 10 years, we'll be unstoppable because people will have seen, they'll have witnessed, they'll have touched. And if you tell someone today, like, picture Ugandan founder, they don't know what to picture. They just have no idea where to start. So we need to do our job as Silicon Exchange by bridging that gap. So that's one. That's one and two. So that's storytelling. And then storytelling is one, we don't need to be in the same place, but we can keep releasing, distributing information. Two is actually getting people into the same room, like connecting. Our events are super focused. Like our last event had 200 people, 100 and at least 50 of those were invites, like specifically reached out to, would like you to be here for this reason. This year it's going to be 100% like invite only. And it's not invite only because it's exclusive. It's invite only because we want to make sure that the 200 people in the room are the 200 people who should be discussing and talking and connecting. Because there's no value in me bringing you to an event as a founder if I don't have investors in your space or that are interested in your tech or ecosystem builders that will actually help you once you leave the event, right? There's a lot of people that are like Web Summit, etc., great conferences, but they're in the business of doing events. We're not in the business of doing events. We're in the business of connecting the right people. So I have a friend of mine who's been doing events here in San Francisco, and they have an AI that match makes match makes between the people who are attending. So you have to fill in a blurb before you go to the event, say what you're doing, what you're looking for, etc. And then based on like what everyone fills out, you're putting tables with people who are the most similar or the most helpful. And that's how we're thinking about like the next events that we'll be doing. So that when you come, it's a 200 people event. Even you as Julius, you'll be overwhelmed. First of all, it's intimidating. I don't feel like talking to 200 people I don't know. What if they don't like me? What if I say the wrong thing? But if I've told Julius that there's five other people who are working in the same space and all of those people are also aware of you, it cuts the time you have to spend figuring out who to talk to, but it also makes we've also like done a warm intro for people, so it just makes connection easier. And so we're also rethinking events and connections and how to best give everyone value. So one, storytelling; two, platform; and three is actually like expansion and distribution. We are building global hubs in different cities. We're starting with San Francisco. Inshallah, next year we will have an African hub in San Francisco. We're looking for partners. We're working with a couple of people already, so that if an African founders comes and lands in San Francisco, they have somewhere to go. They can go there, they'll find founders, we'll be doing events, they'll have investors show up, they can be able to be plugged into the ecosystem. Because when people here come for TechCrunch today and I go to TechCrunch and I ask them, what's your plan? They don't know what to like. This is a new market, it's a jungle. The Indians are doing it, the Central Asian guys are doing it, the Europeans are doing it. So, like, why not us? So, that's our three-pronged strategy for Silicon Exchange. Obviously, we need a lot of people to make this work. So, we're continuing to look for partners, people to work with on the team, organizations to work with, sponsors, speakers, like the whole shebang. So, that's also like, how can you plug in? Those are some of the ways you can plug in. But yes, I think I've answered that question.
Cool. Thank you, Ashley. I think I typed this out in uppercase. Impact. I think you're not just occupying the tech space. You want to make a difference, and you've already calculated what your impact is going to be. You want to change what the story is about African entrepreneurs and African entrepreneurship. You also want to make people connect, but not just to have conversations, but have quality conversations that lead to great things being done. And then the last one is you're rolling out an actual testament to what you're doing, which is the tech hubs. Where do you want to go next after San Francisco, creating an African hub in San Francisco? And you did share a little bit with me, but I'd love for you to share it with the audience as well. What do you envision an African hub in San Francisco to look like? And again, where next after you're done with San Francisco? What are some cities you're looking at?
I've well, so I'll start with why San Francisco. It's because San Francisco is the closest to home. It's where we know people. It's how I'm on this call. Joffrey honestly has been a great inspiration as well, and a good
Shout
reminder
out to
that,
you,
like,
by the way, Geoffrey Chimoneka.
yeah,
Thank you for joining us, connecting us with Ashley. Thank you. Go ahead,
yeah,
sorry.
a good reminder that I'm not daydreaming. Because sometimes, when you think about stuff or when you tell people, like, so many times I told people about Silicon Exchange and they were like, I don't know. So Jeffrey is one of the people when I speak to him about like what could be, he he also speaks to me about his vision, and I'm like, yes, it can be done. So why San Francisco is we know the ecosystem here. We've built a lot of networks. We've been hosting events in San Francisco for the last 3 years, so we know the ecosystem very well. So it's always easier to win first in the market that you know and then expand. Now, we would love to meet other people who would be interested in having hubs run in their cities, and it could look like different things. For many years, for us, it's just usually like we'll host maybe 2 events every year. And then sometimes we'll do some in partnership with other people where we bring African founders together, bring investors excited about Africa, etc. Um, Now we're even trying to map out Kenyan talent because we realize I keep talking about African talent, but the other day I met a group of Kenyans I've never heard about. They're VCs, and I was like, "What do you mean I've never heard about you? I've been living here for 6 years." So we're hosting a Kenyan event in May to solve for that. And what we're trying to do is bring people who we're almost certain have never met, and it's a very targeted event. It's 40 people, people we're almost certain have never met but should be meeting or should know about each other, etc. But what I'm trying to say is, like, if we find, and one of the VCs I met is who was like, let's map out this thing. So if you find people who are like minded, want to build and want to help build a mission, we're 100% like happy to come in as a community partner, connect you to the Silicon Exchanges we know in those places because there's a bunch of people. I know someone who's reached out about doing something in Austin. So it would be basically a place where there's a good number of people excited about it. A hub is hard to build because, like, what we're thinking about is more a physical space where people can always be able to land and like actually show up. But we've gotten like a couple of people who are like, we can co-host and you can like rent out a small space for starters as we start to actually grow this out. And obviously, so wherever those capital, talent, passion, where they intersect, we're ready to partner and figure out what that could be. So what does a tech hub look like? A tech hub looks like a place where African founders building can always walk in, almost like a co-working space, right? And then we can be running workshops on, be it legal, be it go to market, just whatever. We're leveraging all the networks we have in the industry to help people cut through the noise and just build faster by giving them support in all of these other things. Now we have so many delegations that are always coming here. ICT Nigeria, ICT Uganda, There's all of these people that come. The tech guys, the government people, the private sector people, they go making stops at different places, like finding out how they can help. We don't have a place that is advocating for like African innovation. If they know that every time you land in San Francisco, you can come to this African hub and see what founders are doing, founders can give them direct feedback, etc. Same thing to storytelling. If I wanted to show investors what African founders are building today, I have nowhere to take them, right? So if I can send them to this hub and tell them, here, look, here's some of the ones that are here in person, and then here's a 500 other stories of others that are building from the continent. So a lot of it is presence, right? So we have huge dreams, and we will continue to dream. But hopefully next year I will get to invite some of you, and we can. And I'm sure I will be working with some of you as well. We already are to have like the launch of the African Innovation Hub here in San Francisco, and obviously San Francisco because it's the tech capital of the world. Yeah.
I think as you know, the beef between San Francisco and Austin is only growing, and so I think we're going to try to beat you to that. The good thing is
Listen, game on. I love it. I love it. You'll be
we're going to
helping
reach
us.
out. We're going to reach out to you, and we're going to get a blueprint, and we're going to get to work, right?
And I'll give it to you. Yes.
And yeah, it would be nice if you can come help us launch it in Austin. I think it's a wonderful idea. And I think I've had enough conversations with people who think we should be doing something like that. And yeah, I think if it creates even more opportunities for people to be fruitfully competitive, why not? So I want to take up the challenge.
I love
And
it. I
see if we
love it.
can do that in Austin. All right. So I'll go through some of the things that people have posted actually before we proceed. I think so. Ronnie did mention that his found articles from 2013, 17, 19, 24, all saying the same thing, that 90% of the world's data was creating in the last 2 years, which basically speaks to Moore's law that technology doubles every 2 years. So we're seeing an exponential increase
Mm,
in data, essentially. Um, and so I don't know if it's a good thing or a scary thing, but as Africa, we have to kind of get our own story in check, not just the story we tell, but also the truth of our data. Otherwise, the AI built for the future will not have a lot of truth towards us as Africans, right? Because it grows
mm.
really fast. And once we plug in, we have to be ready to play hardball because we really need to stay on top of that data, right? Um, Africana did share, I'm building a trading bot or slash software that executes trades in all trading sessions and currently under testing. Good stuff. Abe did share about Kafresh. I think it just
Mm.
went global. Have you heard about that one?
Yeah,
They
I
had
know
a really
Fresh. Are you guys still taking money? I remember the first time I heard about Fresh from Antler or someone at Antler.
Hmm. Yeah, Kafresh. Sorry, I don't know. I didn't hear what you asked about Kafresh, but I think for me, the unique thing about them is the simplicity of the solution they're building, right? It's
Hmm.
very straight to the point, and it just speaks to great entrepreneurship. You got to be solving a problem that really matters. I believe it's transporting hard to transport fruits across oceans and keeping them fresh until they're delivered and they go on the shelf and remain fresh for a while. So a very interesting innovation. There's a question here. Is it easier to get funding from angel investors in Silicon Valley? I think I'm going to ask that question. It's kind of related to something I want to go into a little bit. Georgina, we're building an enterprise clinical system for Uganda and other countries leveraging AI, machine learning. So, Georgina, I think you presented that at a forum before, and love to have you back to talk about that. Actually, that would be nice to share. We'd love to see the progress that you guys have made with that. And I think, Georgina, you've involved family in this, which is great. I mean, seeing young people involved in entrepreneurship is just amazing. Caroline said she totally agrees with you. Collaborations and partnerships in Africa are key. Let's get rid of the borders. What do you think?
Let's get rid of the borders. Yeah.
At least in software, right?
They were established by colonialists and they know why. So they don't have borders. Why do we have borders? Yeah.
But we have borders, yeah. I mean, yeah. Trying to replicate mobile money to bridge rural populations and doctors' office via healthcare kiosks. Nurse investors can take vital signs and relay symptoms to a secure cloud database, and volunteer doctors can tap in and advise. And I think this is from Gerald. And so I think this is interesting, right? It's like rural access to healthcare. People can afford doctors, but they also can't afford to get to the hospital. So can they get treated at the smaller kiosks, paid by doctors that are volunteering, but also they don't have to go so far to access, that care. So interesting ideas, guys. Thank you for sharing. The one thing I can challenge you guys is that if you look through these ideas and you have a similar thought of building something similar, connect with this person, right? Right here in the chat, you can actually drop a number and say, hey, that's a good idea. I'd love to help you. I'd love to partner with you. And you can reply to them and drop a number. And I think that's why we're on this call, right? Let's take every opportunity to connect and build great things. Geoffrey did ask an interesting question. Ashley, I think we haven't talked a lot about the Nairobi Business Angel Network, right? Can
Mhm.
you speak a little bit to Nairobi Business Angel Network and what we can learn from from them?
I think okay. I'm curious when you say what we can learn. Am I speaking
Ugandan
to? Is it
community.
as Ugandan
I'd say
community
it
who
like
are
as people in
interested to be
Kampala,
angels?
right?
Mm,
Uh, and I'm wondering, yeah,
okay.
maybe want to approach both sides, right? People
Hmm.
interested in being angel investors, um, and also people interested in getting funding. But maybe I think the perspective is from people
Mm,
who could be angel investors and they're
yeah.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the biggest lesson so far, I mean, Nairobi, NIBAN is Nairobi Business Angel Network. It's basically the biggest angel network in Kenya today. I think what's exciting is that there's other angel networks that have come about after seeing the success of NIBAN. So that's good because we have more localized like angel networks in different regions of Kenya now, which obviously wasn't the case a couple of years ago. Um, the founder of NIBAN is a good friend of mine, and the thing I like the most about him is how human he is. Like he's not about fluff. Nick will be like, this is what we want to achieve. These are the challenges. When I joined Iban, I have a bit of investment background because I worked at an investment company. But even if I didn't have, you don't feel like you have to pretend to know what EBITDA is or whatever, right? It's a community where they're like, if you're interested in being an angel or learning more about the ecosystem and supporting the ecosystem, will almost like provide you like opportunities to be able to do that. We have monthly pitches where you get to nominate startups that you'd like to pitch at the network, and then the members will vote for the startups they're most excited about, and those ones will come to pitch. I think the angel network is now starting to do a really good job at like velocity of investment, because a lot of times, as you know, the more people involved in making a decision, the longer it takes. You still want to get the founder to come for an additional call and an additional call, and then you're asking for documentation and more documentation, and it's like, are you giving this person money or not? And I've
Yeah.
seen them really like iterate on their process and really improve on velocity to like investment, because that really helps founders, because sometimes a founder just doesn't have runway, they can't make payroll for next month, they're actually building a good thing, etc. So anyway, and I think angel networks are good, almost like bridge rounds in some certain senses for those types of situations. I think another thing that's really nice about Naiban is the community is so helpful. Every time you need like something, that obviously there's a different bunch of like Naiban for personal sharing, Naiban for deal flow, Naiban for X. People will share the most random and like exciting, sometimes it's opportunities, information, ideas, and the community is very like give. It's people are giving. It's not an extractive community, so I think that's been really nice. But I think the biggest thing is we keep saying we want to get money from Silicon Valley, San Francisco. We want to get money from Austin, London, French. We have to fund ourselves, right? We can't be telling people to fund our ideas when we are not. We have no skin in the game, right? So as
Yeah.
diaspora, especially like, and as diaspora tech professionals, we have really high levels of disposable income on a relative basis, right? So we have to put money where our mouth is. So again, I think the beauty of the angel network is it allows you to write a small check. You can give, I think the minimum is $3,000. And when you're doing if you can do one $3,000 check a year, you've given someone 3,000 more dollars to like try out the idea. And I mean, different people have different investment theses. Sometimes as an angel, I guess you can invest in the ecosystem. I think one of the best investment theses I've read and from like or heard, I think you guys know E, the founder of Flutterwave. I think recently he spoke to Naiban and he told Naiban that now his investment thesis is if I can add value to this startup, I will invest in it. Otherwise, I have no business being on your cap table. So basically, investing in founders who you can help to get to the thing that they're talking about has been a really good addition for me when I'm thinking about where to invest my money. And I think a lot of us have really strong skill sets in a particular area. And we actually have the ability to make a difference in a lot of these startups so that it's not you just giving out a check, it's you're giving out a check and then you're maybe helping with some advisory services or some connection and. So how do we think about like angel networks as not just giving money, but actually enabling more founders to build
Founders.
their
Yeah.
solutions? Yeah.
And when you're an angel investor, you're not really looking for a return on your investment. The return is in paying it forward, right? Or are you always looking for a return on your investment?
You know, this is a yeah, this continues to be a conundrum in my heart. Every time I write an angel check, I have accepted that I am investing in the ecosystem, but I do pray that one of them, you know, that good gives good. So I pray that one day one of the checks will return the whole fund like any other VC. But if it doesn't, I think it's good to see all of the startups
It's
actually
always equity,
build.
but it's risky equity, pretty much, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And it's not different from Silicon Valley, right? The unicorns return the bulk of the revenue or the return on investment for 90% of your investment, right? There'll be only one unicorn that will suddenly turn all your investment into, wow,
Right.
I've spent all this money down the drain, but this one unicorn just paid back dividends on a large scale, right? So it's not too different from angels. Except being an angel investor, you get to give smaller amounts, right?
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. And honestly, I think for us as Africa, like I'm not even expecting it would be great to have a unicorn. But
Yeah.
honestly, if we could just continue building more profitable businesses and move away from the Silicon Valley model of like always looking for VC money, like
Mm.
if you can bootstrap your company until the point where you're profitable, then maybe at that point think about like getting venture debt and not even necessarily like sell your soul to like investors. I think
Yep.
to your point of like what is success, like as a founder, like I don't want to be spending every waking day of my life running around to please my investors. I want to run a business that is profitable, scalable, and then figure out other types of funding. But I think the vanity metrics that are so important here in Silicon Valley are like skewing what
Mm.
founders should be thinking about in Africa without contextualizing that people in Silicon Valley just have ridiculous amounts of money that they made ridiculously overnight because,
Mm.
you know, this crypto coin, like just, you know, the stories are not the same. So anyway, so I think there's a lot to be said about even if I like any of the startups, if none of them became a unicorn, but like 20 of them became profitable businesses and continued to scale over time. Great. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the spirit we should all have. I mean, every immigrant here has a story. And I've asked a few, and the answers are always amazing. I don't know anybody here that doesn't have like, oh wow, I can't believe finally I am in a good place, right? If you think about just that, you look back and you just invest in somebody who's trying to build something. I think that's the entry point for all of us on this call, right? You may never build a business, honestly speaking. You may never start a business, or you might try startups and they might fail. But the one thing that won't fail is the impact that you can have on imagine if you multiplied your abilities by putting your money where your mouth is and just helping 10 other people try out their ideas. Now you just went from you're busy trying out something to actually helping 10 people try out something. Our chances of success are way higher because we're suddenly thinking there are other people with great ideas as well, and I can support them. And if they cross the finish line or, they cross the success line before I do, hey, I'm already part of like three other stories, even if myself, I don't get to build something as big as that. So that's really inspiring. I don't know if there's such an angel network in Kampala. If somebody's aware of it, please drop a note. I don't think I've heard of one, but interesting stuff. So you kind of spoke about VCs a little bit, right?
By the way, I mean, I know Kampala. I know there's a Kampala Angel Network like
Mm,
work happening in the background to form one, but like you're welcome to join. IBAN is not, you don't need to be Kenyan, you don't need to live in
yeah.
Nairobi.
Okay.
So we have angels who are Nigerian, Ghanaian, South African, Africans who've lived in diaspora their whole lives. It's just because it was started in Nairobi, so it's called Naiban for that reason. But if you'd be interested in learning more about Naiban, let me know, and I can connect you to the right people as well. It's a
What
good
about
place to start and dip your
what
feet
about entrepreneurs like in Kampala interested in getting help from Naiban? Is
as
it
well.
okay? So that's
Yeah.
good.
If yeah, if you're looking for funding from an angel network, you can also just reach out to me with like what you're building, your deck, etc. We get the opportunity to like nominate startups that should come and pitch every month, and then the team will vote on the top that actually come to pitch. But yeah, 100% if you're a founder and looking for an angel network, happy to connect you as well.
Yeah, good to know. So, and you said you guys are trying to form a Kampala one as well?
Not us. I've just heard
Okay.
some of the Ugandans are doing great work in thinking about the Kampala Angel
Huh.
Network.
Yeah, it would be nice to hear about those. So if you can shoot me any information that we can share with the community, that would be nice. Yeah. Thank you. So you kind of talked about VCs earlier, and I just wanted to bring it back a bit and just ask a very flat question. Is VC funding good or bad? And I know it's a 3D question. So please,
Right,
3D answer, right? It's not, I'm not looking for black and white here, but what do you want to
right.
say about that?
Yeah, that sounds like a 7D question, not even 3D. But I think, I mean, VC funding, if the macro point I'll say, I think VC funding is good, right? But like you have to really align yourself as a founder, one, like understanding why you're taking VC money. I think the problem with news and excitement and vanity metrics and just the whole like it feels like
What's
this,
vanity
like you're
metrics, by the way? Vanity metrics is like nice numbers assigned to your product, and what's that?
vanity metrics, yeah, it's basically how founders will want to post that I just raised a 35 million Series B round. I just raised a 1.5 million seed round. And like to the newspaper, to the media, because that's the problem with our reporting, as an example, that's what is considered successful founder. Like you are able to raise X amount of money, but that's not what success is for business. So excuse me, we've seen a lot of founders like so focused on like raising money just because Tech Cabal will pick up that story and like go and say, and then now when they go hang out with the other founders on top of the world, but in reality, the businesses are crumbling. Their unit economics don't make sense. The expansion strategy doesn't make sense, etc. And that's why I know you guys have seen all these graveyard stories in Africa, right? And obviously, a lot of them are not just because people are chasing vanity metrics. Of course, all of these are very nuanced conversations, but I think especially for African businesses, it's so hard to raise money. It's even harder now if you're profitable or if you can get to profitability without taking on too much VC money. It makes all the difference, and it will also help you as you're raising in future. So that's one. And then two, some VCs don't even have like operating partners, right? They're so big, they have so many companies in their portfolio. If they hear you have any problem, like, oh, we're not being able to do X and Y and Z, they almost are like, oh, so that's a problem. They almost like want to, they don't do anything to do with you. So what does that do to founders? They're lying on their reporting, right? Like their monthly reports or like semi-annual, whatever. They're lying in their board meetings. So if I have a problem as a founder and I can't come to like my board and tell them this thing is going to kill us because I'm so scared of what the reaction will be, then why do I have that board, right? So, and a lot of this is happening because people are taking money from VCs that are not necessarily like invested in that thing that they're building. So, because unfortunately it's so hard to raise capital for us as African founders, it's almost as if any money you get is good money. And obviously, at the point when you're being told, like, don't take that money and you don't have any other money, you'll be like, let me just take it. I don't know if you guys are reading the stories about the founders whose companies have been sold and they got zero from the deal. Nothing, zero. Like not even 10 shillings or $10, nothing, zero, because of like the terms and conditions that they've signed. And people will tell you the stories and I'm like, there's no way you're serious. But it's like, so anyway, do I think VC money is good? I mean, hell yes, to help you with your expansion and, but I think people it's like, okay, I don't know how many people had this thing, but when I was leaving Kenya to come to the US, right? For so many people, you almost don't care where you land in the US. You just want to leave your country. You don't care about the school. If the snow is it'll be snowing 24/7, da da da. In that moment, your one problem is I need to leave this thing. And so that's the same thing when founders are raising money. They're so hell bent on like, I need money because that's the thing that will. And then you find out you've signed up for a bigger devil once you get to this other place. So anyway, I think we need to give more angels are needed so that our founders stop having to take very predatory money. Obviously, a lot of high net worth individuals in our country, we need to educate them on what is the opportunity in investing in startups, educate them on how all of these other startup ecosystems have been built. There's a lot of government support that goes into all of these things. San Francisco, etc. There's so many government rebates, stipends, da da da. So all of us need to pull our weight, whichever part of that you can do, and then we can ease. But on VCs, alignment, alignment, alignment. Don't sell your soul for VC money is honestly, I'd rather have a small business that is profitable than a big business and 1% of that is all you own. So yeah.
So raising money is not revenue, and raising money doesn't mean you're out of jail free, right? It's just FYI to everybody. I mean, you could be in jail actually, because now your ability to change is limited, but also you might be forced to change your idea before it even gains traction because now you're at the mercy of a VC. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ashley, but you must interview your VCs. You're not just asking for money. You have to align, you have to match. They have to be a good match for you, your values, your principles, where you want to be. Do they see your vision? Do they get it? Or are they just trying to give you money and praying that you succeed, right?
Yes, right.
Yeah.
And then we
So,
need to make more money as ourselves, as Africans. We need to build, exit, and build our own ecosystem. The
yeah.
Indian VCs in this valley, they're bringing their founders, like they're investing in Indians here, but they're also investing in Indians in India. And that ecosystem will continue to flourish. So something
Mm.
else like let's make money so that we can also build our
We
own
can go from
ecosystem.
being the angels to having a network of VCs that really believe in our own stories and therefore.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. Good to hear that. Thanks for sharing, Ashley. So one last question, and I'm gonna ask people to just give us a few sound bites, join the call and say something or ask something. I ask all of you to keep it very brief if I let you in on the conversation. But last question before we get into that. And if you wanna get in on the conversation, you can use the react button and raise your hand. Is it React? I think it's the React button, right? If you want to raise hand, or it should be a raise hand. Yeah, I think it's the React button. So if you go to the React button and raise your hand, I think I'll be able to see it, and I'll kind of ask you to unmute and say something if you want to say anything. So final question before we get into that, Ashley, how do we as Ugandans get plugged into Silicon Exchange? Um, I know you might have touched on it a bit, but direct advice. today, how do we help you be successful? How do we get into the Silicon Exchange and what you're doing? I think you spoke briefly about Nairobi Business Angel Network as well, and you've kind of spoken to how, that it's open, we can get in, but how do we do that? So can you give us some ideas of how we can get plugged in into what you're doing?
So my LinkedIn is actually Njoroge. I'm pretty responsive on LinkedIn. And so that's the easiest way to connect. And then we can start a conversation there. For Silicon Exchange, a couple of different things. If you're, we've been building a community, but because that's not been a priority, our community has been very quiet, but we're about to change that in the next 2 or so months. So we have a small community that's been mostly honestly very dormant, but that's not because it's dormant. We only speak when we have things that are super important to say. I know there's a lot of WhatsApp groups and people always saying things etc. So one, the easiest way is like we can add you to a community. But two, if you're interested in A, being a speaker, B, being a mentor, C, showcasing, like running a program, like okay, this June, I can speak about a bunch of things we're actually doing. So this June 45, um, so Kenya finally has woken up a little bit, and I'm working with an institution called the Kenya National Innovation Agency. It sits in the office of the president, and they basically have the mandate to think about what innovation looks like for Kenya. And I'm leading their global innovation agenda to help them think about what innovation looks like from like a more global perspective. Now we're doing a launch event June 4 to 5 in Nairobi, so I'm going to be going to Nairobi at that time. And it's a 2-day event it's a founder first event, targeting African founders. And we'll be bringing in a lot of investors, tech professionals, both local and diaspora, to start talking about, actually start showcasing what work we've done in the last couple of months in collaboration with Kenya, at that platform, but also now really engage the ecosystem in like, what does partnership look like when all the ecosystem players are in the same room? So we have a bunch of different panels, investor panels, founder panels. We're looking for founders who are probably more advanced to be able to come and showcase. And I think one of the most interesting things is we haven't officially announced, but we are bringing a competition called the Startup World Cup Festival. Thanks to Geoffrey for connecting me to their leads here in San Francisco. And this will be the first time the Startup World Cup Festival is launching in Kenya. So we'll be getting founders come to pitch, and the winner will be coming to San Francisco in October to present at the finals, working with a couple of sponsors to like facilitate their accommodation, flights, get Google cloud credits and all of that stuff. So if you have any networks that would help us make this a super big, super helpful event for the ecosystem, we're open to that. If you'd like to do anything with the event, we're open to that. We're looking for people to actually work with on Silicon Exchange. Right now, how we do Silicon Exchange is we have partner organizations. So Silicon Exchange will run programs, like our annual conference in December is a conference run by Silicon Exchange. Tech Connect Africa, that's run by a Ghanaian lady. And then we have Kala, which is one of the companies that was organizing the AI Summit in Rwanda, etc. So if you or your organization would like to be involved, everyone has a very specific swim lane. That's how we work. I'd love to get in touch. If you'd like to contribute individually, we can also talk about what that looks like. And I think this is my ask. I'm looking for a co-founder to build out a tech talent platform. We validated this with enough people. I just need to get started. We've actually built it out already. We just need like the app version of it. But if you're interested in talking about something like that, that is my personal Ashley ask. And then for NIBAN, they take 2 cohorts every year in January and June. So if you'd be interested in the June cohort, you can let me know. I can send you the application form and like walk you through it, etc. And then, yeah, if you see anyone in my network at any point on LinkedIn and want an introduction, etc., like I'll be able to do that. But I'll send a link to you, Julius, for the Silicon Exchange community. We launch a lot of like private events there, like specific invites, like calls for things, applications, grants, etc., like on that community. So it's a very nice community, very high level, very talented people like everyone on this call. So it'll be a great match. I feel like I
Awesome.
spoke too much English, yeah.
Give us a lot of information here. Never have I heard somebody give an answer that lasts 10 minutes, but everything is like, you gotta write that. You gotta write that. So I've been writing it. There's a lot of stuff
Okay.
that I'm gonna share with the whole group, and I'm sure Robert will send out a blast as well. But yeah, you guys have had the list, and we shall share the list. And if you can see an opportunity to plug in, guys, I was really excited actually to get the opportunity to interview Ashley because I've been to Nairobi 3 times, and actually I've had to go out of my way to introduce myself to people because I don't speak Swahili and I don't know the environment very well. And so meeting you, I'm just like, oh my God, I should have met you 5 years ago. Then I wouldn't have wasted so much time because the product I want to build and I'm working on is really focused on the Nairobi market, right? And so it's a good. So if you see I think the most important thing I had in that is if you look at Ashley's LinkedIn and you meet somebody who's building something in her network or doing something and you want to connect with them, she's here to help you connect with them. And then, yeah, I will send out the link for Silicon Exchange as well. And lastly, please, if you're a tech talent that can build mobile apps, the best thing we can do for a vision like Ashley is doing is actually bring that talent on board and help her bring this to life. And actually, I'm good at the API side. So I don't know if you like backend engineers, but I'm more than happy to help build the backend. I'm good at styling UIs. I'm not so good at building apps. Unfortunately, I'm a very, very much backend guy. So, but I hope at least 1 or 2 people from this group will jump onto your vision and help you build that tech platform because it's very much needed. And I will push them, and Robert will push them. We'll get some people to come help. All right, Geoffrey, you had your hand up first, so I'll give you the floor now, and let's hear from you. Geoffrey, you wanna unmute? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep, we hear you.
Yeah, so thanks, Ashley, for this. Yeah, I just wanted to just a few comments. I met Ashley about 2 years ago. Um, but really the whole point, what, as Africans, we have realized is that, we have the numbers right now, and there's a lot of talent and also capital. And we see a lot of this in Silicon Valley in other immigrants. Me and Ashley attended an event from Central Asia. It's just amazing to see the kind of startups there. So the main point really is you know, as a community, all these things, success takes a lot of collaboration. We have a whole, actually Uganda North American Association that's for, Ugandans, okay? There's so many members right now. There's so many people in tech. So this whole thing is about an ecosystem. We talked about Indians, some of our Indian friends we know here, they have launched all these hubs. It's just amazing how they've built it. And if you look at why they're at the CEO of these top companies, it is because of this. Why the head of Google is an Indian and because of they built these ecosystems. By the time someone comes to innovate, the capital is there, everything is there. Someone goes to look for a job, everything is in place. So we're connected with Ashley and we realized this, that, the Ugandans in Austin, the Ugandans all over the place, but we have to collaborate to be successful with others. Okay. Me and Ashley have talked about Silicon Exchange. She has talked about some of the, things, Startup World Cup is coming to Kenya. I'm a mentor for Startup World Cup. Okay. We've connected that way and other things. So we have to realize this as Ugandans. And that is how success will be created. Okay, Ugandans remit $1.5 billion, okay, per year. If 10% was, I mean, people, you remit people for whatever, for, a lot of money, okay? We send a lot of money back home, 1.5 million per year. Just get 10% and put that towards innovation, okay? And you'll see the impact immediately. So add Uganda and Kenya, add all the African countries, how much they remit per year. The only problem is we're not collaborating properly. That is it. But they're engineers at Meta. They're engineers at, they're African engineers everywhere, at all companies. They're Africans who have gone to all the Ivy schools. So the problem is we're not collaborating properly. And we're not realizing how do you make capital to be effective? All these things, VC, all these things, capital comes from people. Silicon Valley here, all these people, they have really mastered how do you get capital. VC firms get capital just from people, from institutions, from pension funds, all these things. Okay? That is for me what, with the main picture and why, I brought Ashley, because we have been talking about this for a while. So thank you, Ashley, for coming, for this Sunday.
Thank you,
thanks for
Geoffrey.
having me, Geoffrey.
Yep. And just to add, Geoffrey, it's not just we as Ugandans getting together or working together, but we as Ugandans, I think I've really picked on, we as Ugandans should plug into even the things that are already there, because it will multiply our velocity towards
Yeah. Excuse me.
Thank you, Geoffrey. Robert, you had your hand up next.
Yes, thank you, and I hope you can hear me. And I remember.
Robert, are you there? Stuck on mute?
Okay. Yeah, you hear me now?
We hear you.
Okay, good. Thank you. Well, mine is the vote of thanks, and I want to say it in Swahili. Asante sana. Asanteni sana. Thank you very much, Ashley, for sparing your time on a Sunday to come and engage with us. You kind of woke me up. I'm one of those people, I'm into the media marketing business, and I like to, showcase when somebody invests in a startup. I've shown in my community how when some founders in our community have risen to the level of acquiring they invest in them, but you've reminded me that necessarily mean success. So I have to go back and kind of relearn and think about that. My assumption has also been that if someone invests in a company, then it is ready to go. But thank you very much, and Julius, for taking the time on a Sunday. Again, I don't know how you dealt with jet lag yet or not, but thank you for East African time, for taking your time to conduct this conversation. And
let's just say the food is great here. So.
And Geoffrey for making the connection. Thank you. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Robert. Georgina, you want to say something? Georgina? Are you there? Might be stuck on mute. Georgina going once. Okay, I guess we'll circle back to her when she gets out of mute. So there is a question in the chat, Ashley, from I believe it was Ronnie. Ronnie says, being a liaison between Silicon Valley and Africa, what's your take on the humanitarian crisis involving the exploitation of Africans to train ML AI models with little consideration to workers' compensation and healthy work environment? And how can your company help advocate for fair compensation and fair work conditions for African workers? You want to take that?
Yeah, I think, this is a very fair question. I know, at least especially what happened, I think most recently with, what are they called? Summer sauce, right? And those BPOs are making ridiculous spreads on and preying on African. And the argument, because I've had a couple of conversations with some of these people, and the argument is willing buyer, willing seller. But I'm like, so we need the people in policy. I don't work in policy, but if we did find someone who wanted to work with Silicon Exchange and like run the policy side of it, when we're engaging, especially this June 4 to 5, because we will have people from the Office of the President there, ICT guys will be there, innovation guys will be there. This is the reason we need to have ecosystem conversations, right? And we can tell them, hey, you need to do your work as regulators to enforce consumer protection, right? Because this is a policy issue. So what is our role as Silicon Exchange? Honestly, truly, yes, it is to, at this point, unfortunately, the best we can do is bubble these issues up to the administration and like contextualize them and help them see this is what is happening in the African market. We're outsourcing the same jobs to the Philippines as a tech company, for example. And I can tell you for free, they're not being paid so poorly. Why? Because they have better protections in their country. So if sometimes there's a lot of issues, if someone steps up and would like to help, yes, what we're doing is we're creating the platforms and we're raising awareness on these things. I know a couple of people who work in policy back at home who are always here, like with big tech etc. Very, very small pockets. We don't have enough leverage. So anyone that is feeling very passionate about that subject and would like to be connected to the right people, we are that connector. Like, please reach out.
Yeah. So you have the platform and you have somewhat the ear of the government. You need somebody who can speak very well to policy to reach out and help you deliver change, basically.
Yeah, and we have a policy panel as well, even doing like the startup and like part of it. We have guys in legal. We have a policy person that deals with more activism type thing. So if anyone is interested in that, like 100% reach out. We are happy to figure out. And I'm just speaking for Kenya because that's where we have purview.
I think that's
And
where Uganda is going,
yeah,
right? Because
yeah,
Nairobi
yeah.
is way into that. I think those roles are going to come into Uganda as well, and then suddenly we'll have the same problem. And the population is not aware how much profit is being made on their backs, and we can only be the ones to advocate for them because we have that awareness. So thank you,
Right.
Ashley, for asking that question. Georgina, you have the question?
Yes.
Are you?
Yeah,
Okay.
can you hear me now?
Yep, we hear you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, sorry, I was trying to get off mute. But yeah, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, Miss Ashley, Njoroge, Mr. Geoffrey Chiboneka, Mr. Kabugo, Mr. Chigundu, and all the rest of the members on the team. I'd really want to thank you so much. My name is Georgina Nyakairu Kirunda. I'm currently the UNAA Director of Development, so in UNAA leadership. I'm also part of the UNAA Organizing Committee, Tech Forum Committee. We work together with the entire group to bring tech forums to the UNAA conventions and continuously get engaged. Professionally, I'm a data scientist, AI, machine learning engineer. So I'm in the tech space with a background in clinical, medical informatics, analytics, and all that good stuff. So thank you so much for this presentation. My two words that I wanted to talk about and to echo Mr. Chiboneka's collaboration piece is we as Africans need to execute, be action-based, implement. We have all these ideas, we have all this education. We're here as an ecosystem already. We're really a lot of us. If you look at our convention, if you look at our chat, we're so many of us. We need to execute and implement. And I would also advocate for the youth engagement because the youth are there. They also need our mentoring and guidance. So we need to engage them quite a bit. And I think the other thing is the trust. We need to trust each other. I think, like we don't trust, and not in a bad way, don't get me wrong, but I feel like maybe people just
I think
don't
sometimes it's in
trust
a
each
bad
other.
way. It's like if I tell you about my
That they feel like, and when it
you
comes
can
to
be
money,
frank.
like when it comes to money, it's like, oh no, let me change it to Luganda a little bit. It's like centers of Fezigendawa, those kind of things. But when you have the Indians and the others, they seem to trust each other with each other's money. So I think that piece needs to also help us break those barriers. And I feel like Africans and Ugandans particularly, it's okay for all of us to move forward together, so that we can each support one another, collaborate. The more we support each other, the better for everyone. Where you have an environment where your children our children are all doing well is a good environment, as opposed to having some not doing well, others are not, others are, then, that's why we have all those tensions. That's why if you look at the Indian model, it's they all move together. Like they come into this country and then one of them is saying, okay, come here, stay with me until you get a house, and then that they pay off the house, then they move to another. Their model. I'm not saying we have to go with that model, but I feel that I think we can get bits and pieces from there, since we already are here and we have most people have at least the capital to invest here and there and work together. It's definitely we're moving in the right direction, but there are areas where we can really put in more energy. But thank you so much for this very enlightening. And Miss Ashley, trust me, I'm on board with your ideas, and I'll be contacting you for sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Georgina. And yeah, I truly agree with your points there. And I think we'll take one more comment from Abe. Abe, have your hand raised. Abe, are you there? I think okay. Looks like you lowered his hand. So yeah, Georgina.
No, thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
There,
sorry, we're not allowed to unmute ourselves. So for some reason it took a while for you to unmute me because I couldn't unmute.
Oh,
yeah. So I think that's the part we're having fun with. Okay, so yeah, sorry. Yes. So all right. So my name is I'm the Honorable Abe Gwayambade. I'm here in the Southeast. I'm the same people as Georgina. Of course, Sarongo, all those people we know very well. I grew up in UNAA. For those who don't know, my Uncle Sally Luemba was one of the founding members of UNAA here in Atlanta. So I served as the youth mentor for quite a while through the early 90s, through high school and whatnot. So I'm very, very familiar with UNAA. Professionally, 20-something years in IT, stayed 94 as an MIS assistant. Yes, I'm aging myself. There's a lot of gray hairs and everything. And I've been doing a lot of mentorship here. So I'm actually very, very glad for this because I have a quick comment and then I have a question. One of the things that I suffered through being a 90s child coming in the US, not knowing English, and my parents coming directly from Uganda through Makerere, their only professions was accounting and doctors. So if you're not becoming an accountant or a doctor, it didn't really matter, right? So to give you an anecdote, I'll be doing programming and my mom would say I'm just playing on the computer, right? Because traditional African work is you go somewhere, you do something physical and they see it, right? Banging on the keyboard, is like, okay, what did you produce at the end of the day, right? That's the thing, right? So my question is when people call me here and I get a lot of mentorship, I realize two things. We are privileged. And I have to say that because I went to Uganda last year, spent a whole month there. The average person, for lack of a better word, doesn't have access to a lot of these meetings, whether it's data or connections or knowing, right? So I went to Masaka, where my people are from, and I was astounded at the lack of knowledge in IT or networking or anything, right? And I went to Chebando, which is right northern bypass, and then kind of the same thing. One thing that I would like to figure out as the people is how do we change our privilege? And I'm going to use me as an example. When I came here and we started looking for help, I was the first child to go through American schools in a lot of the communities when we came in the 80s. I realized very quickly my parents turned around to the same people in the same circles because all of them went through Makerere University together, right? So when they had a hardship, as Georgina was talking about, they lived together, they came here, they were able to stay together. Oh, I'm going to move to a different state. I'm going to stay with his family because they knew each other, right? They went the same or they went the same boarding schools and whatnot. And that's also where the privilege, because we've had that privilege. I know he's usually used in terms of racism, but we had the benefit of our parents had some connections that they immediately fell on. A lot of the young people that I'm talking to mentoring in Africa are saying, hey, I feel somewhat of alone here because my parents are not in that position, right? They're trying to figure out how they can reach out and connect. And I know there's something like that happening in Uganda, but I didn't know if there's an impetus of thinking of setting up something like that where the people get to know each other and maybe they can collaborate and move together. It's easier to trust somebody if you've been through school with them and you know their parents and those kinds of things, right? I can trust Georgina because I know where Georgina lives, right? I'll find her. That's the thing, right? It sounds funny, but a lot of the stuff in entrepreneurship, like I tell people I invest people in their social credit, right? I've been IT long enough to know that anybody can say, I know how to do a database, to do anything. It's their determination, right? It's what I've seen them. If they had to do something small in their house, what was their attention to detail, right? So it's the social credit that I care more about. It's like, I don't know if the idea is viable, but I know if I bet we'll get it done. Right, because he has that determination, right? So it's that social credit. But in the same point, I guess here's my question to Ashley is a lot of the people that I deal with are nerds and geeks. And I love them because I'm one of them. That's one of those things. But they don't have social speaking skills. And a lot of them are very introverted. Their biggest problem is they have an idea, but they're worried about getting in front of a pitch to pitch it because they don't know how to speak the business language, right? You want them to tell you how to program anything they know how. So a lot have been asking me, and I just haven't been able to find, how can they get practice time or see other people's pitches in some correction that they can say, oh, okay, if somebody presents the idea this way or somebody highlights this stuff. Now, there's all over YouTube, but the problem is too much information is also misinformation. They don't know what is the correct way to do it. So they can say, okay, if I go to a normal pitch, they want me to even maybe dress this way or point out these 5 things about my product, rather than them coming here. It's like, hey, I'm the best programmer and have this idea, and then they lock up at the first question because they don't know anything. So that's really my question for some of us who are not in the tech industry. Somebody has a great idea. They may be looking for people to pair with them. How can they get some either in-person training or some programs out there that you're aware of where they can watch all these pitches until they get comfortable to where they can even approach other people and says, hey, here's my idea and here's, do you want to come on board or not? Sorry to make that all long, but that's my comment and question.
Oh no, I'd actually just be curious to chat with you to hear about your experience from the 90s and without obviously dating you, dating your age. But yeah, I think you raise good questions because as you said it and you're like, yeah, over information is misinformation. That's so true. Because the moment I have to look through a million things to get to one thing, I'm stressed and I'm immediately abandoning it. So I would say I guess it's a mixed bag. I would almost say when the traditional like VC, like the big cookie cutter VC, Sequoia, any VC that's big, they have almost like an archive and library of like, here's what a pitch deck looks like. Here are the ideas we're looking for. Here are the best pitch decks that have ever existed. So from that perspective, you can actually just learn from the investor and what they're putting out. Sometimes just following leadership on LinkedIn. Like what I do is I follow like top, and it's a top voice according to me. Like this guy is a CMO, has done good go-to-market strategy for a bunch of Series B companies. They're putting out content. They're saying what works. They're saying what doesn't work. So just curating your social media profiles to seek out the information that you want. I think people underestimate how important a well-curated profile is because you get the information you want very quickly and from the right people. Now, the best way to do it obviously is to find people who are actually doing it. I don't have direct plugs, but Naiban is a good example for me to learn. That was one of the reasons I joined Naiban, outside of having done angel investments on my own and feeling like it was too cumbersome and wanting to actually just have someone deal with all the creation of the SPVs, etc., was to just learn. You see founders, you see them come and pitch. You can talk to them after because you can connect to them as a founder, tech professional, whatever, right? So you already have a platform where the things that you're thinking about are happening. Other people like you, other programmers who maybe got a business operator type of co-founder are there and they're going through the experience that you're thinking about. You can now have direct contact with them. So I'm using Naiban as an example because that's a community I'm very heavily involved in, but there definitely are like semblances of that space. This is another reason we want to build a talent app because we want to map out diaspora talent and then people who are seeking out something specific. Like if I'm looking for a co-founder, I should be able to go to this app, say I'm looking for a co-founder with this skill set interested in XYZ, and the AI will almost be able to pull up a list of profiles and I know where to start. I can reach out to this person and have a conversation with them. LinkedIn is great, but we almost want like a a smaller version of LinkedIn, which is why we really want to build a platform. Because what you're saying is true. The people exist, we just don't know where to get them. Or like the process to get them is so long. So can we make that process shorter? I think that would be helpful. And honestly, the thing is, I hear so many people who are like, I want to connect, I want to help, I want to, but they don't have a platform. And honestly, we're the most talented people of our time. Like today, the people on this call, that we owe it to this world, we owe it to people to actually be the ones to build, because no one is going to do it if we don't do it. So I hear you. The questions are good. I would love to brainstorm later and also put it as a note on the back of my head. Something might come up later and I'll share it with you directly.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, I mean, all in all is, yeah, thanks Abby for the good question. Thanks Ashley for responding. But it's high time we stopped all trying to build and take a step back and think, how can I help with a greater cause? If I'm going to build something successful, great. But if I'm not and I'm struggling, I can still be a part of the story by fostering communication and building these platforms like Silicon Exchange and whatnot. And then for the introvert, yeah, Abby, get them, be the next host, be our plug in the Southeast, so that the introverts trust you, you trust Silicon Valley, you become the bridge, right? So I
No
would say,
problem.
yeah, bring them on board. Thank you so much. Adrian, I think I'll just give you 30 seconds. We're about to wind this up, so if you don't mind, just let's spend 30 seconds, and then you'll be our last commenter. Thank you. Are you there, Adrian?
Yes, I'm here. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yep, I hear you.
Yeah, Julius, thank you so much. Ashley, thank you, and all protocol observed. 30 seconds, I'll try. Thanks to UNAA and the entire team. We are part of Bible Meets Business that is happening in Texas. The event, you've mentioned collaboration and Africa and African solutions. Because we understand and know what the Chinese are doing and the Indians are doing to push their agendas, Africans can learn more from that. I was thinking that if you can't make it for the event, if you can do a 2-minute pitch of what you're looking, because we're expecting about 500 business people. And many of them are investors, many of them are millionaires, because if people don't know, they can't act. So I mean, what has been shared here, I'm benefited. I know a lot of people who would, are interested in very interesting projects. I'll give an example. Bricks made from mushrooms. Who knew? People think you can only use, and this is technology that is going to be used in Mars because mushrooms are light, but it's being done in Namibia and sponsored by a few Africans that we know. So in 30 seconds, we can help in the spirit of collaboration. Again, thank you, Julius and Ashley.
Thank you so much, Adrian. Please share that link, by the way, but the bricks for Mars. I think that's very inspiring. Would love to read more about that, but very good points. And Bible Meets Business, when is that taking place? You said it's in Dallas?
It's happening this next week, next Saturday and Sunday in Dallas, Texas.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah, everyone is invited. It's free. There will be a lot of high-powered business initiatives.
Yep, sounds good. And I think we'll help share it again on the tech group for those who can make it. Thank you, Adrian, again. Awesome. So at this point, I'm going to wind up. I'm going to read a few final comments. There was a comment from Carol Babazi that said, very great insights shared by Ashley. Thank you so much. So glad I engaged this evening. Carol actually is, Carol, you'll kill me if I butcher your title. She's the CEO of Girl Code, something like that, the Girl Code Foundation, I think in Uganda. This would be an interesting story you probably would love to hear, Ashley, because they are helping kids get into ICT early, and especially on the coding side. So she's one of the people I'm looking forward to connecting with and seeing how we can create a greater platform for that for them. And then there's a comment from Amazing Pearls. Thank you for selecting such an insightful speaker for today's session. The expertise and perspective is truly valuable and resonated deeply. It's clear that a lot of thought went into choosing someone who could inspire and engage the audience so effectively. Much appreciated. So thank you, Ashley. Last thoughts. Ashley, I just wanted to ask you to leave one last comment. What are some closing thoughts you would leave for everyone on this call today?
Honestly, closing thoughts is what I said. So to reinforce, we literally are the smartest people of our time. We literally are representing Africa in different ways. And some of it might be luck, some of it might be hard work, a combination of all of them. We have talent, access, privilege that we shouldn't waste. So please let's do what we can for those who would be able to do it but just can't because they don't have the same level of access and privilege. I'm very excited to connect with so many of you. Like individually, I'm super, super excited. Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun. Like I really just enjoyed the conversation. Yeah, and if anyone is in Nairobi or can make it to Silicon Exchange later in December, or Kenya Startup Festival, I'll send a link as well to you, Julius. I'll just send you a note of like, here's a few of the links together. If you can make it to Nairobi, let me know and I can have an invite extended to you. But yeah, super, super excited to see what comes out of this session. And then we'll give you feedback. We'll be like, we met at your session and then look what we're doing. So yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, thank you, Ashley. So my last thought to everybody on the group is that the most important thing I learned today is that or kind of got reinforced in my mind is that your impact is greater if you don't try to go alone. So if you're trying to build a startup, first of all, do you have what it takes to build a startup? Only 8% of the world's population has what it takes to build a startup. And so that doesn't mean that you should not do it. It means prepare yourself for the journey. It's not an easy one, no matter what you try to do. But there are other ways. One other way being, can you be an angel investor? Can you spread your wings a little bit by being impactful on so many different projects by not only giving money, it's not giving, you're investing. That's the nature of investment. It's risky, but you're having a huge impact on the African tech ecosystem by being an angel investor, and not only giving your money, but also your knowledge that you join these networks and help so many other entrepreneurs harden their ideas, test their product market, match, and also help them to look at their elevator pitches and see if they make sense, because you're having a huge impact. So let's be very collaborative. And then the last thing is get a co-founder. Nothing is more important than getting the right co-founder. You can be a great engineer. You're probably horrible at communication and probably horrible at finance, and those things will kill you. So in finding people who can work with you to build a product, you're increasing the chance of success for your business tenfold. And lastly, I think Ronnie had kind of summarized it very well. Let's adopt a culture that prioritizes and encourages ownership over individual titles and prestige, collaboration over competition, right? And actually just creates more healthy competition. That's the very interesting thing, is when we collaborate, we create more interesting competition. So thank you everyone that joined the call today. It's a Sunday and you guys actually took the time out of your schedules to get on the call. Thank you for those in East Africa that joined. It was really, really late. I see Julius Singoma Kagamba joined in from Nairobi. So everybody joining at night also from Africa, thank you so much. This kind of means we should do more of sending out these invites to East Africa. We tend to do them only here, but there's a lot of people missing out on quality conversation, and so we should try to do more in this tech forum to reach out. And Naiban will definitely be one of those places that we'll be looking to connect. So once again, thank you, Robert, for setting this up. Thank you, Geoffrey, for enabling us to connect with Ashley. And thank you, Ashley, our special guest. You fit right in. I think we'll soon be finding your Ugandan name. Have a nice rest of your Sunday. And thanks, everyone. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Julius. Thank you. Asanteni sana. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great evening.
Night and good day. Bye.
Bye.